Chosen one, stop for a moment and listen. You may think this is just another day, another passing moment. But in truth, heaven has marked this exact hour. This Wednesday is not ordinary. It is a divine appointment where something long delayed will finally be released into your life. You are standing at the edge of a transfer, and abundance has your name written across it. You have felt the weight of waiting. The nights where you asked, "Lord, when will my turn come?" have been many. There were days when you looked at others walking into open doors while you remained behind the curtain, unseen, unrecognized, carrying the ache of patience. But hear this, your waiting was never wasted. The waiting season was a workshop, shaping you to hold what is about to be placed in your hands. Think of the story of a seed buried deep in the soil. To the naked eye, it looks forgotten, hidden in the dark earth. But beneath the surface, it is expanding, preparing to break through. And then, in a single day, the soil cracks and life bursts forth. This is your moment of breakthrough. This Wednesday is your soil-cracking day. It is not coincidence that you hear this now. Timing is heaven's signature. Just as Joseph was lifted from prison in a single day, just as Esther was summoned from obscurity to the throne in one moment, you are about to step into a divine shift that carries you from obscurity into overflow. It is written in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house. And in this place I grant peace." Let these words sink into your spirit. The glory ahead of you will be greater than the glory behind you. The seasons of loss and delay will look small compared to what is about to unfold. And peace, the peace that surpasses understanding, will guard you as the abundance flows. Picture this, a ship heavy with treasure, delayed at sea by storms. The waves fought against it. The winds tried to push it back. But still, it pressed forward. Now the storm is passing, and the harbor lights are within sight. That ship is your blessing. It has been traveling toward you all along, carrying more than you asked for, more than you imagined. And this Wednesday, the sails will drop, the anchor will fall, and what was meant for you will finally reach your shore. But abundance is more than financial overflow. Do not limit God to currency. Abundance is the lifting of shame from your shoulders. It is the restoration of your voice. It is the strength to stand after falling. The joy that laughter returns to your mouth. The peace that silences torment in the night. Heaven's abundance is holistic. It touches every part of your being. You are like a lantern set on a cliff. The wind tried to snuff you out. The storms tried to crack your glass. But the flame endured. And now, at the appointed time, that flame will not only survive, it will blaze brighter, becoming a beacon for others still lost at sea. The blessing coming to you is not just for you. You are chosen to be a vessel of distribution, a lighthouse, a living testimony that when heaven declares abundance, no force on earth can shut it down. Chosen one, understand this, you are not late. You are not forgotten. Heaven has never lost track of your timeline. Every delay was aligned with a greater preparation. And now, this Wednesday, the gates swing open. Here is your moment to act in faith. If this word resonates in your spirit, seal it with action. Share this message so others may step into the same alignment. Like it as a statement of agreement. Subscribe if you have not yet, so that the flow of prophetic revelation continues to reach you. And most importantly, type in the comments the prophetic number 777, declaring that you are in covenant with heaven's timing. The season of waiting is closing. The season of transfer is opening. The glory ahead will be greater than what was behind. Abundance is not on the way, it is here, and it is yours. The atmosphere around you is shifting. Even as you read these words, do not dismiss the stirring in your heart. That is heaven's confirmation that the transfer is already in motion. Step boldly into this Wednesday with expectation. Do not shrink back. For the greater glory is not distant, it is rising within you now. Chosen one. The truth is this: you are marked for a transfer. Not just any transfer, but one so divinely orchestrated that no human imagination can fully grasp its scope. What is coming is beyond your current frame of reference, beyond your plans, beyond what you thought possible. You are entering a chapter that heaven has been preparing in silence. The Apostle Paul wrote in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love Him. These words are not poetry, they are prophecy. They declare that the blueprint of your destiny is hidden in a realm untouched by human understanding. It cannot be stolen, duplicated, or diminished by the hands of men. What God has prepared is safeguarded until the appointed hour. That appointed hour is unfolding now. Think about how seeds are carried by the wind. A bird may drop one in a place where no farmer expected. And months later, a tree rises where no one planned for it. That is how God's preparation works. While you were living ordinary days, while you thought nothing was moving, heaven was planting seeds in unseen soil. And now, the unseen becomes visible. Your path has not been random. Every twist, every delay, every disappointment was in fact a preparation for a divine unveiling. You may not have understood why doors shut. You may have cried over friendships that ended, opportunities that dissolved, or seasons that seemed wasted. But those very moments were divine redirection. Heaven closed what would have destroyed you, to open what would sustain you. Picture the story of Esther. She was an orphan, forgotten by society, with no apparent place in the grand story of her people. Yet hidden within her ordinary days was a preparation for the palace. She did not see it. No one around her imagined it. But God had prepared her to stand before kings, to carry favor that would save a nation. That same hidden preparation rests upon you. You may feel as if your years have been spent in obscurity. You may have believed your time passed you by, but heaven whispers differently. Obscurity is not the absence of destiny, it is the womb of it. Just as a child is formed in hidden places before being revealed, your calling has been forming unseen, and now it is ready to be birthed. Let me paint you an image. Imagine a grand tapestry being woven from the back. It looks chaotic, threads knotted, colors tangled, patterns unclear. But when the cloth is turned over, the design is breathtaking. Every thread intentional. Your life has felt like the underside of the tapestry, messy and without clarity. But now, heaven is turning it over. The design will make sense. The knots will reveal purpose. The beauty will be undeniable. What no eye has seen this means people around you will be shocked by what God does in your life. What no ear has heard this means testimonies will rise from your journey that no one anticipated. What no mind has conceived, this means even your own imagination will not compare to the reality of what is about to manifest. This is why you cannot measure your future by your past. The glory that is coming is not an extension of what has been. It is an entirely new chapter. If you define yourself by yesterday, you will miss the immensity of tomorrow. God is not recycling your old story. He is writing a new one. Do not fear the size of the blessing. Sometimes abundance can intimidate because it feels too heavy to carry. But remember this, heaven equips you for what it releases to you. If the blessing is bigger, then so is the strength within you. If the assignment is greater, then so is the anointing upon you. Think of a river that has flowed in the same direction for generations. Then suddenly, after a great rain, its course shifts, carving out a new path across the land. That is your life now. The flow is changing. The direction is altering. What once was barren will now be watered. What once was dry will now bloom. Chosen one. The transfer marked for you is not fragile, nor is it conditional upon men. It is secured in heaven. That means no betrayal can cancel it, no rejection can erase it, and no enemy can withhold it. The blessing was written into eternity before you even lived your first day on earth. And now, time is catching up with eternity. Your calling is larger than you imagined. Your influence will reach further than you expect. Your abundance will impact more lives than you realize. This Wednesday is not merely a date on the calendar, it is a hinge on which your destiny swings open. Stand still for a moment and sense the weight of this. You are marked. You are appointed. And the transfer is already on its way. Chosen one, you have carried a weight that few could understand. Misunderstood, overlooked, and at times abandoned. You have endured seasons where the silence of heaven felt deafening. Yet here you are still standing, still breathing, still believing. That is not weakness. That is evidence of the divine hand holding you through what others could not have survived. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. N4. This is not just comfort, it is revelation. It means that everything you have walked through is a seed of glory. The suffering has been pressing, but the pressing produces oil. The tears have been watering, but the watering produces fruit. What felt wasted has been storing up weight, and that weight is the evidence of glory about to be revealed. Think of a pearl inside an oyster. The pearl is not formed overnight. It is shaped by irritation, by layers upon layers of response to pressure. What once was pain becomes beauty. What once was unbearable becomes priceless. That is your story. You are the pearl, hidden in the shell of seasons that made no sense. Now, the shell is about to open, and the treasure will be revealed. Let me tell you about a chosen one who lived with this same mystery. She was a woman who dreamed of lifting others through her voice, but doors closed again and again. Years passed in silence. Then suddenly, one open door came, and in a single week, she spoke before thousands. Her words transforming lives. The years of waiting were not punishment, they were foundation. Without the waiting, she could not have carried the weight of the platform. That is your story too. You may think your life is ordinary, but heaven calls it extraordinary. You may think your struggles disqualified you, but heaven has used them as refinement. Like gold in fire, you have been tested, not to be destroyed, but to emerge purified and stronger. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 31, verse 16. Restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded, declares the Lord. End of. Your tears have been counted. Your prayers have been stored. Not one night of anguish has gone unnoticed. The reward is not distant, it is near. Heaven has pressed pause on your life long enough. Now, the play button is being pressed, and the story is moving forward. Picture a bow being drawn back. The tension increases. The string tightens. The arrow seems stuck, but the further it is pulled back, the farther it will fly when released. That has been your life, pulled back by delays, by denials, by disappointments. But the release is here, and you will fly farther than you imagined. Chosen one, here is your prophetic act. Type in the comments, "I rise now." These 3 words may seem simple, but they are a declaration. By writing them, you are telling heaven and earth that you refuse to stay in the valley of waiting. You are declaring resurrection over your dreams, strength over your spirit, and alignment with the timing of God. It is not just typing, it is a prophetic echo, because when you rise, everything around you begins to rise. Your family feels it. Your atmosphere changes. Even your enemies recognize it. Because nothing can keep a risen one buried. This Wednesday is not simply the opening of financial abundance. It is the rising of your soul. It is the unveiling of glory that has been concealed. It is the moment where everything makes sense, not because the past was easy, but because the future is greater. So, take heart. Chosen one. The arrow is flying. The pearl is revealed. The tears are turning into testimony. And heaven's transfer is already in motion. When you write, "I rise now," you are not only declaring it over yourself, but you are also aligning with a spiritual law. Heaven responds to words of faith, spoken and written. Just as creation began with God saying, "Let there be light," your declaration invites divine movement into your atmosphere. These are not empty letters on a screen. They are seeds planted in the soil of eternity, waiting to bear fruit. So, understand this. The act of rising is not passive. It is active. It means you refuse to identify with the chains of yesterday. It means you embrace the identity God already gave you, a chosen one, a light bearer, a carrier of glory. This Wednesday, your rising is not symbolic, it is real. And as you rise, nothing in darkness can hold you down. Chosen one. Wednesday is not just another day circled on a calendar. It is a gate, a threshold, a crossing point between what was and what shall be. There are days when nothing seems to shift, when the hours pass as ordinary, and then there are days when heaven marks the earth with divine significance. This Wednesday is one of those days. Scripture declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 24, verse 7, "Lift up your heads, you gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in." Gates are symbols of access, of boundaries shifting. They represent places where you either remain locked out or are invited in. When the psalmist speaks of gates lifting, he speaks of divine intervention, the moment when what has been shut cannot resist the arrival of God's glory. This Wednesday is a gate moment. You are not walking through the same rhythm of routine. You are stepping into a passageway designed specifically for you, where ancient doors that resisted for years begin to swing wide. Imagine a great iron gate rusted shut from generations of being locked. Men have tried to open it, but it resisted every push. And then, with one touch from heaven, the hinges crack, the rust falls, and the doors open effortlessly. That is the image of what is happening for you. You may have prayed for years with no sign of change. You may have felt like doors in your career, relationships, or calling were sealed. But heaven's timing works differently than human striving. The right gate opens not when you force it, but when heaven declares the season has shifted. That season has arrived. Think of Peter in prison. The book of Acts tells us that while he slept between guards, chained and watched, the angel of the Lord appeared. The chains fell, and the iron gate of the prison opened by itself. That gate was guarded, locked, and impossible to move in the natural. But in the supernatural, it was nothing. Likewise, the gates in front of you are not stronger than the God who walks with you. Chosen one. This Wednesday is not merely about opportunity. It is about divine permission. It is about the removal of barriers that were never meant to be permanent. Some gates existed to test your faith, to stretch your endurance, to refine your trust. But once their purpose is complete, they cannot stay shut. The command has already gone forth. Lift up your heads, you gates. Then, consider this. A traveler journeys for days, reaching the towering walls of a city. The gates are shut, and his supplies are nearly gone. But just as despair sets in, the gates creak and swing wide, revealing not only food and water, but a community waiting with open arms. That is your Wednesday, a gate of survival becoming a gate of overflow. What makes this so powerful is that the gates you are about to walk through do not only affect you, they shift things for those connected to you. When the Israelites crossed the Jordan River into the Promised Land, it was not just Joshua who stepped through, it was the entire nation. Your breakthrough gate is not for you alone, it is for those who will be strengthened, inspired, and blessed by your crossing. Do not underestimate the prophetic significance of time. Days are not random in the kingdom. Just as the Sabbath carried rest, just as Passover carried deliverance, this Wednesday carries the mantle of opening. It is the day when ancient doors that resisted generations in your family line, will no longer hold. Patterns of lack, cycles of disappointment, delays that repeated themselves, these are the ancient gates, and heaven is commanding them to lift. Your role in this moment is simple: to walk through. You do not have to force the hinges or wrestle with the locks. Heaven is handling the mechanism. Your task is to step forward when the way clears, to believe that when God says, "Open," no man can say, "Shut." All nay. Chosen one. Picture dawn, breaking after a long night. The horizon glows, shadows flee, and the light pours through. That is what Wednesday will be: a dawn of gates lifting, a horizon of new access. And as you step forward, the King of Glory does not just open the way, he walks through with you. The gate has been shut long enough. This Wednesday, it opens. Do not fear the unknown beyond the gate. What waits on the other side is not loss, but life. The same God who opened the way will also sustain you as you walk into his abundance. Chosen one. Famine was never meant to be your permanent address. Scarcity has been a teacher, but it is not your destiny. The chapter of surviving on little is closing, and the chapter of overflow is opening before you. This is the divine exchange: ashes for beauty, mourning for joy, lack for abundance. According to what is revealed in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 24, the threshing floors will be filled with grain, the vats will overflow with new wine and oil. These words are more than ancient poetry. They are a prophecy echoing into your present. They speak of a season where emptiness gives way to fullness, where vessels once dry now spill over, where every corner once barren becomes alive with fruit. You are stepping into that season now. Think of a desert that has known only heat, sand, and silence. Suddenly, rain falls, and the earth drinks deeply. Flowers bloom where no one expected. Streams cut through dry ground, and the desert becomes a garden. That is your story. Your desert days are turning into gardens of overflow. There were years when you felt you were living from crumbs, holding your breath for the next small answer, rationing your strength just to make it through. But heaven is not a miser. Heaven does not portion blessings with stingy hands. Heaven pours until the cup runs over, until the oil does not stop flowing, until what you carry is more than enough for yourself and for others. The famine season shaped you. It taught you gratitude. It trained you to find God in the silence. It refined your character so that when abundance arrived, you would not waste it. And now, because you have proven faithful in lack, you are entrusted with plenty. Consider the widow in the days of Elisha. She had nothing left but a small jar of oil. To her, it looked like insufficiency. To heaven, it was the seed of overflow. When she obeyed, pouring what little she had into empty jars, the oil kept flowing until every vessel was full. That is the pattern of your life. The little you protected will now multiply in ways you cannot measure. Chosen one. The famine is over. The floor of lack is closing behind you. You will eat and be satisfied. You will drink and not run dry. You will walk into rooms that once seemed closed, and provision will be waiting on the table before you arrive. But let this truth sink in. Overflow is not only for survival, it is for testimony. It is so the world may look at your life and know that God restores. Abundance is not about showing off wealth. It is about showing forth the glory of the one who lifted you from the valley of scarcity. Picture this moment as a table spread wide. Plates of provision, cups of joy, baskets of peace, everything laid out in abundance. And you are invited not only to sit, but to invite others. The table is big enough for more than you. As you eat, others will be nourished by your overflow. Now, hear me carefully. If these words stir something deep within, do not let it pass like a breeze. Treat this as a banquet you choose to sit at. To stay connected, to keep receiving, is like sitting at the table and refusing to walk away hungry. You are not pressured, you are invited. Think of it this way. To share this message is like passing bread down the table so another can eat. To subscribe is like choosing a seat at the feast, saying, I will not miss the courses yet to come. To like this word is like lifting your cup in agreement, saying, Yes, I drink of this overflow too, and to comment is like leaving your name written on the table's guest list. A declaration that you were here when heaven opened the storehouse. No one forces you to eat at a table overflowing with goodness. It is an honor, a privilege, and a joy. And heaven is simply extending the invitation. You decide if you will sit, if you will partake, if you will stay until the end. This is not pressure, it is beauty. It is not compulsion, it is covenant. When you choose to respond, you are stepping into alignment with the abundance already flowing. And as you align, you will see famine disappear like a shadow chased away by the morning sun. Chosen one. The sound of grain filling, threshing floors echoes. The vats are running over. The famine has ended, and overflow is your portion. The invitation has been set before you. The choice to partake is yours. Chosen one. The moment has come where what was once far away is now placed into your very hands. For too long, you looked at doors that seemed beyond your reach, opportunities that stayed just outside your grasp. But heaven has shifted the balance, and the transfer is not floating in the air, it is resting in your possession. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 35. So do not throw away your confidence, it will be richly rewarded. These words ring out like a trumpet. The treasure that heaven releases does not arrive empty, it carries reward. It carries fruit, and it requires confidence to hold. You are not a bystander in your own destiny, you are the steward of the keys God has now placed in your hands. Think of Joshua standing before the Jordan River, holding the promise of a land he had not yet seen. To the people, it was uncertain. To Joshua, it was weighty responsibility. Yet when the priests carried the ark and stepped into the waters, the river parted, and the nation walked across. The shift happened the moment they put their feet into what God had already given. In the same way, what you hold now is not symbolic, it is active. The transfer is in your hands, and it activates when you step forward. Picture this: a craftsman forges a key in fire. For days, it looks incomplete, unshaped, useless. Then, after countless strikes of the hammer, the key takes form. Once finished, that key has the power to open vaults that no one else can. You are that key, refined by fire, shaped by trials, and now, in the right form, to open the doors set before you. It is not enough to simply admire what has been given, you must use it. Confidence is the hand that turns the key. Fear leaves the door closed, but faith pushes it open. That is why the enemy tried so hard to make you doubt yourself. He knew that once you recognized what was placed in your hands, nothing could stop the opening. Consider a gardener holding seeds. Seeds in a pouch have no power. Seeds in the soil transform into harvest. You are holding seeds now, ideas, visions, opportunities that heaven has placed inside your grasp. When you act in faith, planting them into the ground of obedience, they will multiply into orchards of blessing. Do not underestimate the magnitude of what you carry. David once stood before Goliath with only a sling and stones. In the natural, it looked small, but in God's hands, the sling was enough to fell a giant. Likewise, what you hold may look small to others, but it is mighty to bring down what has stood against you. And now, seal this moment with a prophetic act. Type 4000, 444 inches. The comments. 4 is the number of stability and foundation, the four corners of the earth. The four winds of heaven. By writing it, you declare, my hands are steady, my foundation is unshakable, and this transfer rests securely in me. Oh, chosen one, look at your hands. Imagine them glowing with light, filled with keys, seeds, and strength. Everything you thought you lacked has been replaced with abundance. The shift is not coming, it is here, resting in you. Walk forward boldly, because what you hold cannot be taken away. The number 4 carries deep prophetic symbolism. From the beginning of creation, 4 was marked as a number of completion in the natural realm, the 4 directions of the earth, the 4 seasons, the 4 winds that carry life across the world. It speaks of stability and order, of foundations that cannot be shaken. When you write 4,444, you are not repeating digits by chance. You are multiplying the stability of 4 into fullness. 1 4 is a corner, 4 4s is a fortress. It means that your abundance is not fragile or temporary. It is secured by layers of divine order, protected on every side. This is heaven's way of reminding you that what is placed in your hands will not collapse under pressure. The foundation beneath you is reinforced. The walls around you are strengthened, and the atmosphere above you is covered. You are not holding a fragile blessing, you are holding something unbreakable. Think of a house built on 4 pillars. Storms may come, winds may howl, but the structure does not fall because its balance is perfect. That is the picture of 4,444, a life aligned, centered, and upheld by God's own hand. So when you declare 4,444, you are saying, I stand on a foundation that cannot be moved. My transfer is stable. My abundance is secure. And my destiny is guarded on every side. Heaven hears it. Earth echoes it. And your spirit comes into alignment with unshakable truth. Chosen one, every step you take toward abundance, toward destiny, carries the weight of unseen opposition. The path of the chosen has never been without resistance. Yet what you must know today is this: enemies cannot block what heaven has decreed. The transfer written for you is not fragile, it is indestructible. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. I'll take those words into your spirit. Weapons may be formed, but they will not prosper. Voices may rise against you, but they will be silenced. Enemies may plot, but their schemes will fall apart before they even touch you. You are not walking undefended. You are walking beneath the shield of heaven. Consider the story of Daniel. Jealous men conspired to trap him, to silence his prayers, to end his life. They threw him into a den of lions, thinking the night would be his last. But the mouths of the lions were shut, and Daniel walked out without a scratch. The plot was real. The danger was real. But God's covering was greater. That is your reality. Your adversaries may roar, but their teeth have been removed. Think of an arrow loosed from a bow. It flies fast, cutting the air, aiming for harm. Yet before it reaches its mark, an unseen hand snaps it in two. The enemy's arrows against you are broken mid-flight. They may try, but they cannot land. That is why some attacks in your life never reached you. You didn't even see what was blocked, because heaven intercepted it. Enemies cannot block what they cannot touch, and they cannot touch what is sealed in the hand of God. You have been hidden in His shadow, guarded by His presence, surrounded by His fire. When the Israelites walked out of Egypt, Pharaoh's army pursued them with fury, but the Red Sea stood as a wall of protection. And when the waters closed, their enemies were drowned. The very sea that was a pathway for God's people became a grave for their pursuers. Do not waste energy fearing opposition. Fear magnifies shadows into giants, but faith sees giants fall. You were never called to fight with human weapons. You were called to stand, clothed in divine armor. The battle is not yours. It belongs to the Lord, and He has already written the outcome. Your victory, your vindication, your overflow. Imagine a fortress on a high mountain. Enemies surround the base, shouting threats, hurling stones, devising strategies. Yet the fortress stands unshaken, its gates unbroken, its walls secure. You are that fortress, elevated, protected, sustained by strength greater than your own. The shouts of your enemies may echo, but they cannot penetrate. Their reach is too short, their power too small. Remember Joseph again. His brothers tried to strip him of his future by throwing him into a pit, by selling him into slavery. Later, false accusations placed him in prison. Each attempt was meant to block him, but each attempt became the very road that led him into the palace. What men meant for harm, God turned for good. The same principle governs your life. Chosen one. Hear this truth. Opposition is evidence of value. No one counterfeits what has no worth. No one fights what poses no threat. The fact that you have faced resistance, misunderstanding, betrayal, is proof that your calling carries weight. But weight is not weakness, it is authority. And authority cannot be stolen when it has been given by God Himself. So walk forward without hesitation. Let the noise of enemies fade into the background. Let the shadows of opposition dissolve in the light. For though they may gather, they cannot prevail. Though they may plan, they cannot succeed. Though they may shout, they cannot silence the destiny etched upon your life. The transfer is yours. The abundance is yours. And no enemy, seen or unseen, can block the hand of God stretched out on your behalf. Even if storms rage and voices rise against you, their reach will never be enough to overturn what heaven has already signed. The decree of abundance over your life cannot be revoked by human hands. Your part is simple. Keep moving forward, knowing the ground beneath you has been secured. Every step you take carries divine backing. What seemed like resistance will soon be revealed as redirection, pushing you closer to the very gate of blessing that no enemy can close. Chosen one, there are dreams inside you that seem to have gone silent. Once, they burned brightly, filling your nights with vision and your days with expectation. But over time, through delays, disappointments, and the noise of life, those dreams were pushed to the background. You may even have whispered to yourself, "Perhaps it wasn't meant to be. Perhaps I imagined it." But hear this, heaven never forgot what it planted in you. What God breathed into your spirit is not dead, it is only sleeping. And this Wednesday is the dawn when those dreams awaken again. The prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Oh, this truth is a balm to your weary heart. The vision may have lingered. The dream may have tarried. But delay does not mean denial. It means there was an appointed time that had not yet arrived. Now, that time is drawing near. Think of Lazarus in the tomb. For 4 days, all hope seemed gone. His sisters wept. The mourners gathered, and the grave was sealed. Yet when Jesus stood before the stone and spoke, "Lazarus, come out," life surged back into what was thought impossible. Your dream may feel buried under years of dust, sealed behind stones of doubt and circumstance. But one word from heaven is enough to call it forth again. Consider a musician who once held melodies in their heart, but life pressed those songs into silence. For years, no instrument was touched, no notes were sung. Then, in an unexpected moment, the music returned. Fingers touched keys, chords rose in the air, and tears flowed because what seemed gone had only been waiting. That is the nature of your dream. It may feel forgotten, but in reality, it is preserved, waiting for the appointed hour to rise. Dreams do not die when they are God-breathed. They may lie dormant, like seeds in winter, hidden beneath the frost, unseen by the world. But beneath the soil, life is intact, and when the season shifts, when warmth returns, the seed bursts forth in color. You are entering that shift. The season of dormancy is giving way to the season of awakening. You have asked, "But how will it happen? I feel too behind, too unprepared, too late." Understand this. Dreams do not awaken by your power, but by God's. The breath that ignited them the first time is the same breath that revives them now. It is not about your timing, it is about heaven's timing. And heaven says, the appointed time is here. Picture a clock whose hands seemed stuck, day after day. You stared at it, waiting for movement, but it remained frozen. Suddenly, without warning, the gears shift, and the hands leap forward, aligning perfectly with the right moment. That is your dream once frozen, now advancing. The awakening of your dreams is not simply for your joy. It is for the glory of God and the blessing of others. Joseph's dream was not for him alone. It was for the preservation of a nation. Esther's destiny was not about her crown, but about her people's survival. Likewise, the dream in you carries weight beyond your own life. It is a key for others, a light for those still wandering, a testimony of God's faithfulness in appointed seasons. Do not be surprised if the dream rises differently than you first imagined. Sometimes, God reshapes the vision to fit a greater purpose. What you thought would be small may expand to touch nations. What you thought was personal may become generational. What you thought was delayed has actually been developing. Chosen one, stand ready. Listen closely. The stirring you feel inside is not nostalgia. It is resurrection. The ideas, the passions, the visions you laid down are not over. They are awakening. And as they rise, so will you. The revelation awaits an appointed time, and that time has come. The dream is breathing again. Chosen one. Remember this. When dreams awaken, they rarely rise quietly. They come with momentum, with signs, with confirmations that remind you the delay has expired. Watch closely. What once seemed impossible will begin to unfold piece by piece before your very eyes. So, do not shrink back in disbelief. Receive the stirring with courage. Heaven is not offering you old fragments. It is presenting you with renewed vision, stronger than before, anchored in divine timing. What you thought was lost is returning, and it will carry you further than you dared to imagine. Chosen one. Alignment is not accidental. It is the deliberate orchestration of heaven, where events, people, and timing converge to reveal a greater pattern. You may have thought the delays, the detours, and even the heartbreaks were fragments without meaning. Yet now you will see how each piece was moving toward a single point, your appointed time. The Apostle Paul reminds us in the letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." These words shine like a compass. The proper time is the pulse of prophetic alignment. Nothing has been wasted. The struggles that felt like distractions were in fact preparation, positioning you on the path where everything now begins to connect. Think of the stars in the night sky. To the casual eye, they look scattered, random dots of light. But when seen from the right angle, they form constellations, shapes that tell stories, directions that guide travelers. Your life is like those stars. For years, it seemed scattered, but now the constellation is revealed. The alignment shows the story heaven has been writing. Alignment means doors open without strain. It means people appear at the right moment, carrying what you need. It means opportunities that once felt locked suddenly swing wide. The timing is not random. It is divine choreography. Imagine a river winding its way through rough terrain, seemingly off course, until it finally finds its true channel, flowing freely to the sea. That is what your destiny is doing, finding its course, unhindered, unstoppable. Chosen one. Prophetic alignment is the reason past attempts failed. It wasn't that you were unworthy, it was that the timing was not ready. Seeds planted too early cannot grow. But now, the soil is prepared, the season is right, and the rain is falling. Here is your prophetic act for this moment. Type in the comments, "I walk aligned." Just 3 words, but they carry a declaration of power. You are telling heaven, earth, and even yourself that you refuse to stumble in circles any longer. You are choosing to walk in rhythm with divine timing, and when you do, you will notice the weight of striving lifting off your shoulders. What once required endless effort will begin to flow with ease. That is the beauty of alignment. It is not the removal of effort, but the transformation of effort into grace. Chosen one. You are not out of step. You are exactly where you need to be. And this Wednesday is not random. It is your appointed moment where everything aligns. Alignment is heaven's way of proving that nothing in your story is wasted. Even the tears you thought were forgotten, even the prayers you whispered in silence, are now woven into the pattern of timing. Every detail is part of the design. Think of a clock with gears hidden inside. Each gear turns slowly, some large, some small, some hardly noticed. But when they all move together, the hands strike the exact moment. Your life has been turning like those gears. Sometimes slowly, sometimes painfully, but now everything clicks into place. Prophetic alignment means you will begin to recognize why doors closed. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Heaven was sparing you from wrong paths so that you would be preserved for the right one. What you thought was loss was actually guidance. Consider Ruth. She lost her husband, her home, and her security to the natural eye. It looked like the end, yet her steps aligned with Naomi, and alignment brought her to Boaz's field, where redemption awaited. Without the pain, she never would have found her place in the lineage of kings. That is the power of prophetic alignment. Now you see why delay was necessary. If the dream had awakened before its time, it would have collapsed under pressure. If the transfer came too soon, it would have slipped through your fingers. But alignment ensures that when it arrives, it is stable, lasting, and fruitful. This is why the simple declaration, "I walk aligned," carries power. It is more than words. It is agreement. It is saying, I refuse to force doors. I refuse to run ahead. I choose to walk in rhythm with heaven's timing. That choice activates peace, clarity, and confidence. So when this Wednesday comes, do not see it as an isolated date. See it as a hinge on which the alignment swings. The scattered stars become a constellation. The wandering river finds its course. And your life, once fragmented, now flows in divine harmony, perfectly aligned with heaven's design. Chosen one. Cycles of lack have followed you like a shadow, repeating themselves in patterns that felt unbreakable. Just when you thought progress was near, something would pull you back. Opportunities slipped away. Resources seemed to vanish. It felt as if every door carried an invisible lock. But hear this truth today. The cycle ends now. The prophet declared in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 9, affliction will not rise up a second time. That means what once circled around you cannot circle again. The chains that bound your family line, the patterns of loss that kept repeating, will no longer find a resting place in you. You are not destined to live in circles. You are destined to walk in forward momentum. Heaven has cut the loop, and your path is straight. Think of Israel in the wilderness. For 40 years, they circled, moving in endless repetition. The same desert, the same hunger, the same delays. But the day came when the Jordan parted and the cycle was broken. They crossed into promise. What once was wandering became possession. That same transition is yours. The endless circles end, and the land of abundance opens. Cycles of lack are like broken records, playing the same line of sorrow again and again. But heaven is lifting the needle. A new song is beginning, one of provision, peace, and overflow. Where your history repeated pain, your future will echo breakthrough. And now, chosen one, I want you to imagine this, standing before a great wall of mirrors, each reflecting the same image over and over, trapping you in illusions of limitation. Then suddenly, one mirror shatters. The repetition breaks. The reflections vanish. You step forward free. That is what heaven is doing, shattering the mirrors of lack so you can see beyond them into new horizons. This is where your part becomes beautiful. You are not only a receiver of abundance, you are a participant in it. Think of this moment as sitting around a fire in the night. When you press like, it is as if you are adding wood to the flame, making the fire brighter, stronger, warmer, not only for yourself, but for others gathered here. When you choose to share, it is like carrying a torch from that fire into the darkness, lighting paths for others who are stumbling, giving them the same warmth and hope. You have found sharing is not an obligation, it is passing the flame. And to subscribe is to build your place at the fire permanently. It is choosing to stay close, to return when new sparks rise, to sit among the circle of chosen ones who gather whenever heaven speaks again. Subscription is not duty, it is belonging. Chosen one. The beauty of these acts is that they are not small, they are prophetic. Each is a gesture of alignment, a declaration that you are part of something larger than yourself. You are not sitting in the wilderness any longer. You are walking with a tribe into the land of overflow. So let your heart rest. The famine cycles will not return. The broken patterns will not reappear. Affliction will not rise a second time. This Wednesday, the loop of lack closes, and a straight path of abundance opens before you. And as you walk forward, remember, you are not empty-handed. You are carrying keys, fire, and seeds of promise. You are not a wanderer in circles, you are a forerunner, stepping into a future without chains. The cycle is broken, the future is open, and the transfer is yours. Chosen one. When heaven declares, affliction will not rise up a second time, it is not only a promise, it is a verdict. It means that the enemy cannot recycle the same traps against you. The pages of your story are turning, and the old chapter has been sealed shut. Understand this. Cycles often disguise themselves as patterns of comfort. You stayed in places because they were familiar, even if they were draining. You repeated choices because they felt safe, even if they delayed you. But when heaven breaks a cycle, it does more than stop repetition. It rewrites your rhythm. Your steps move differently. Your heart beats differently. And your vision clears. So, as you walk forward, expect to feel the strangeness of freedom. It may feel unusual not to carry the weight of lack. It may feel foreign to have peace without waiting for the next storm. But embrace it. This is not temporary relief. It is a permanent shift. The desert season is over, and the land ahead is overflowing. Chosen one. Abundance is never meant to end with you. What heaven places in your life is not a closed container, it is a flowing channel. You are chosen not only to receive, but also to release. Not only to gather, but also to give. The transfer of blessing you are stepping into is designed to make you a vessel, a carrier, a distributor of heaven's overflow. The Apostle Paul wrote in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 10, "Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness." No, this verse reveals the pattern of divine abundance. God gives seed to the sower, not to the hoarder. He provides bread for food, but also multiplies the seed so that giving can continue. Abundance has two directions. It blesses you personally, and it empowers you to bless others. That is why the transfer is larger than your need. It is bigger than your table, wider than your storehouse, higher than your expectations. Think of a river. It does not drink its own water. Its purpose is to flow, to water fields, to give life to trees, to refresh villages along its banks. If the river stopped flowing, it would become stagnant. In the same way, you are not called to store blessings until they stagnate. You are called to let them flow, nourishing others and proving the goodness of God through your life. Remember the boy who gave his 5 loaves and 2 fish. It was a small offering, hardly enough for himself. Yet in the hands of Jesus, it multiplied until 5,000 were fed. What you carry may seem small to you, but in distribution, it multiplies beyond comprehension. You are the vessel through which heaven multiplies provision. Distribution is not about wealth alone. It is about encouragement, wisdom, love, and hope. Sometimes your words are the seed that feeds someone's starving spirit. Sometimes your presence is the bread that strengthens weary hands. Sometimes your prayer is the oil that restores joy to the broken-hearted. Do not limit your role as a vessel. You are chosen to carry more than resources. You are chosen to carry life. Imagine a candle. When lit, it can ignite another candle without losing its own flame. The room grows brighter with every shared spark. That is the mystery of distribution. The more you give, the more light spreads, and the less darkness can remain. Your abundance is designed to spark others into their own awakening. Chosen one. Your story itself will be distribution. When others hear of how cycles of lack were broken, how dreams awakened, how enemies could not prevail, their faith will rise. Your testimony becomes bread in their hands. This is why your blessing cannot remain private. It is evidence of God's faithfulness, meant to be displayed like a lamp on a stand. There is also a generational flow in this calling. What you receive does not end with you. It becomes inheritance. Just as Abraham's blessing overflowed to Isaac, and Isaac's to Jacob, so what heaven pours into you now will ripple into your family line. Your children, your descendants, will walk in rivers that began with your faithfulness. You are the vessel that shifts not only your present but your bloodline. And think of this, distribution is a protection against pride. When you recognize that abundance is meant to pass through you, you remain humble, remembering you are a steward, not the source. This humility keeps the channel open, keeps the river flowing. Pride clogs the flow, but humility keeps it pure and steady. So walk into this new season with open hands. You are not being blessed merely to survive. You are not being filled only for your own hunger. You are being entrusted with seed for sowing, bread for feeding, oil for anointing. And as you pour out, heaven will refill. As you distribute, heaven will multiply. As you bless, heaven will enlarge. Chosen one. This is your identity, a vessel of distribution, a channel of overflow, a bearer of blessing. The river will not run dry, because it flows from the throne of God. You are part of that river now, and everywhere you flow, life will appear, fruit will bloom, and hope will rise. And remember, a vessel does not choose the water it carries. It simply flows with what it receives. So too will your life pour out whatever heaven entrusts to you. Let it be peace. Let it be strength. Let it be provision. Every drop you release will return, multiplied, keeping the river within you alive. Chosen one. This journey has not been random. Every word you have received, every picture, every story, has been preparing your spirit for alignment. And now comes the moment of covenant, the prophetic seal that you will not just hear this word, but respond in faith. Heaven is inviting you to participate, not passively, but actively, to declare with your mouth and your hands that you belong to this moment. The Apostle Paul reminds us in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 3, verse 20, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." Oh, this is the essence of the transfer you are stepping into. It is more than you asked for. It is greater than you imagined. It is beyond the limitations of your own plans. And when you declare, you are agreeing with this truth, that God's power is at work in you, and his plans exceed your imagination. Chosen one. There is a prophetic number you are called to release today, 888. Why this number? 8 is the number of new beginnings. It represents resurrection, fresh cycles, and the cutting off of the old season. When you step into 8, you step into a future untouched by the mistakes of yesterday. But when 8 is tripled, 888, it becomes the fullness of newness, a triple portion of beginnings, a divine assurance that the door of the past has closed completely and the horizon ahead is bursting with opportunity. Think of Noah stepping out of the ark. The old world was gone. A new one had begun. 8 souls survived the flood, marking the number of new creation. That is the rhythm of your life now. The flood of lack, the storm of struggle, the weight of cycles, all of it has passed. You are stepping onto dry ground, into a new world, under a covenant rainbow that declares, never again. When you write 888, you are not simply typing digits. You are lifting your voice into the unseen. You are saying, I accept the new beginning. I embrace the resurrection of my destiny. I step into the freshness of God's promise. It is not superstition, it is proclamation. It is covenant ink on the contract heaven has already signed. Picture a door that has been locked for years. The key has rusted. The hinges stiffened. Then suddenly, the lock breaks. The hinges swing, and light floods into a room once closed. That is what this prophetic act does. It opens the doors you thought would never shift. 880. 8 is the turning of the key. Think of it again as planting a seed in soil. The seed itself looks small, but hidden within it is an orchard waiting to bloom. Your comment of 888 is that seed. It declares to the soil of heaven, I am ready to harvest what has been stored for me. Heaven honor said. And your declaration is a prophetic seed that multiplies back into your life. Do not underestimate the power of response. Silence allows doubt to linger, but response activates faith. When you comment, you break agreement with fear and step into alignment with destiny. It is a small act in the natural, but a massive act in the spiritual. And as you type 888, let it sink deep into your heart. You are not walking into a recycled story. You are not repeating old mistakes. You are entering a completely new chapter. Old doors are closing. New gates are opening. And abundance is not approaching, it is here. So rise. Chosen one. Take your place in this covenant moment. Write it boldly. 888, your declaration, your seal, your prophetic act of faith. This Wednesday opens the transfer, and with your own hand, You will write the number that marks your new beginning, never to be turned back again. Chosen one. The number 8 has always carried the sound of renewal. It marks the end of one cycle and the birth of another. From the creation of the world to the resurrection morning, 8 has symbolized a fresh start. When you declare 888, you are multiplying that promise. It is not just one new beginning, but wave after wave of renewal. Your spirit, your resources, your relationships, your calling. It is heaven's way of saying, everything becomes new, and nothing remains as it was. By. So let your comment of 888 be a covenant marker. It is the seal that yesterday has ended, today is rising, and tomorrow is secured in glory. You are not merely beginning again, you are beginning greater. Chosen one. When heaven moves, it rarely whispers. Breakthrough does not arrive with a timid knock. It comes with a roar that shakes the atmosphere. The transfer that has been promised to you is not creeping quietly into your life. It is bursting forth like thunder rolling across the mountains. Impossible to ignore. It was proclaimed in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 26. At that time his voice shook the earth. But now he has promised, once more I will shake not only the earth but also the heavens. Of note, this is the sound of breakthrough. It is heaven's declaration that barriers will crumble, walls will collapse, and the very foundations that opposed you will be overturned. When God's voice roars, nothing remains unmoved. The same ground that once resisted you begins to tremble, making way for your steps. Think of Jericho. Its walls were fortified, impenetrable by human strength. Yet when the people lifted their voices in obedience, when the trumpet sounded, the walls collapsed in an instant. That was not coincidence. It was the roar of breakthrough manifesting in history. You stand now, in that same moment. Fortresses that stood in your way for years are trembling under the sound of heaven. Breakthrough is not silent. It is like an earthquake splitting the earth, like a mighty wind uprooting trees, like a lion's roar echoing across valleys. And yet, within its force, there is purpose. It is not chaos, it is divine order emerging from disruption. What once stood against you cannot withstand the shaking. Picture a locked vault rattling until its bolts break loose, spilling treasures long withheld. Imagine chains snapping, their sound echoing like drums of freedom in the night. That is what breakthrough feels like, the vibration of heaven undoing years of resistance in moments. Chosen one. Many times you wondered why the pressure increased before change arrived. That pressure was not punishment. It was the rumbling of breakthrough beneath the surface. Just as the ground shakes before a volcano erupts, so your life felt unstable because glory was pressing its way through. The instability was not your end. It was the sign that your release was imminent. Consider Paul and Silas in the Philippian jail. Their feet were bound, their hands chained, their freedom stripped. Yet at midnight, they prayed and sang hymns. Suddenly, the ground shook, the doors flew open, and their chains fell off. The roar of breakthrough turned a prison into a place of freedom. That same roar is moving toward your life, and it will not only affect you. When breakthrough roars, it spreads outward. The prison doors in Acts did not open for Paul and Silas alone. They opened for every prisoner there. Your breakthrough will ripple. It will touch family, friends, even strangers watching your journey. When heaven shakes your ground, it shakes theirs too. There is also a tenderness in the roar. Though the sound is mighty, it is not destructive toward you. It is like the roar of a father calling his children home. It is fierce toward enemies, but protective toward you. The roar clears your path while securing your steps. Do not mistake quiet seasons for abandonment, nor loud shaking for danger. The roar is not to frighten you, but to awaken you. It is the sound of chains falling, of waters parting, of the impossible becoming possible. It is heaven announcing, your breakthrough has arrived. So lift your head, feel the trembling beneath your feet. The shaking you sense is not instability, it is transition. The roar is not random noise, it is your destiny breaking forth. This Wednesday, when the transfer opens, it will come with sound, with force, with undeniable evidence that heaven has moved on your behalf. The roar of breakthrough is not coming, it is already here. And nothing, no one, no power can silence it. Chosen one. The roar you hear is not chaos, but confirmation. It announces that the heavens have intervened, that the atmosphere surrounding you has shifted, and that the resistance you once battled has been broken open. Every tremor is a signal of release. Just as the earth quakes before mountains split, your spirit feels the shaking before doors swing wide. Do not fear the noise. It is proof that the unseen realm is working on your behalf. When breakthrough roars, it carry permanence. This is not a temporary opening or a fleeting victory. It is the kind of shaking that alters the landscape forever. You will not return to the prison of yesterday. You will not walk back into chains. The roar ensures that what once held you cannot rise again. Chosen one. Destiny does not always move at the pace you expect. There are seasons where progress feels painfully slow, where days stretch like years, and where promises seem forever postponed. Yet when heaven decides the moment has come, time itself bends. What should take decades can happen in days. What seemed far away suddenly appears at your doorstep. This is the mystery of acceleration, and you are stepping into it now. The prophet Amos spoke of this in the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 13. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman and the planter by the one treading grapes. New wine will drip from the mountains and flow from all the hills. Oh, this picture is one of extraordinary speed. Normally, the planter waits for the harvest, and the reaper gathers long after the seed is sown. But here the timelines overlap. The harvest comes before the plowing is even complete. The fruit ripens faster than expected. That is the acceleration of destiny, and that is your portion now. Think of Joseph again. Years were spent in slavery and prison. His promise delayed. His dreams seemingly forgotten. But when the moment came, it was sudden. In one day, he shifted from prisoner to prince. That is what acceleration looks like. Years of silence overturned in a single act of divine promotion. Acceleration is not human striving. It is not rushing by your own strength. It is heaven compressing time, redeeming what was lost, multiplying steps, and pushing you forward with supernatural speed. Imagine a river that has been dammed for years, its waters held back, pressure building. Then, suddenly the barrier bursts, and the water surges with unstoppable force, covering ground in moments that should have taken months. That is the power of this season in your life. Consider Elijah outrunning Ahab's chariot by human logic. It was impossible. Yet when the hand of the Lord came upon him, his feet moved faster than horses. That same hand rests upon you. What logic says cannot be done, heaven declares will be done, swiftly. Chosen one. You may feel that you are behind. Perhaps you think too much time has been lost. Too many mistakes have been made. Too many opportunities have passed. But acceleration redeems what was lost. Joel wrote that God restores the years the locusts have eaten. That means even wasted time is not wasted. It can be gathered back, restored, multiplied, until it is as if you never lost it at all. Imagine an artist painting a mural. For weeks, the progress is slow. Each stroke deliberate. Then suddenly, in a burst of inspiration, the image fills rapidly, color after color appearing. The picture finished sooner than expected. That is how your destiny will unfold. The long seasons of preparation will give way to sudden completion. Acceleration also means alignment with opportunities that once seemed impossible. Doors that were closed will not only open, but will swing toward you with speed. Relationships, resources, and revelations will converge at the same time, propelling you forward. It is the moment when heaven says, "Now," and nothing can delay what has been decreed. Chosen one. Be ready. Acceleration requires readiness. When the train arrives faster than expected, you must be at the platform, prepared to step aboard. This is not a time to hesitate. This is not a time to question if you are worthy. This is a time to recognize that heaven's hand is pushing you forward, and your role is to move with it. Do not be afraid of the speed. Some fear acceleration, thinking they will be overwhelmed. But remember, if God is the one accelerating you, He is also the one sustaining you. The same power that multiplies your steps strengthens your stride. You will not collapse under the pace, because the pace itself is grace. So watch closely in the days ahead. Opportunities will come sooner than you thought. Dreams will awaken faster than you expected. Breakthrough will roar louder than you imagined. The acceleration of destiny has begun, and you are at the center of it. Chosen one. Your years of delay are being redeemed in moments. What should have taken a lifetime will happen in a season. What was postponed is now arriving. The reaper is overtaking the plowman, and your destiny is overtaking time. Acceleration means your future is not slipping away. It is rushing toward you. Each step forward will cover more ground than years of striving ever could. This is the kindness of God, to compress time, to redeem delay, to place you ahead of where you thought you should be. Destiny is catching you up. Chosen one. Abundance is not simply the filling of your hands, it is the crowning of your head. It is heaven's way of showing the world that you have endured the wilderness, passed through the fire, and remained faithful in the waiting. You are not stepping into a life of survival, but into a life of reigning. This is your coronation season, and the crown is abundance itself. We find in the book of James, chapter 2, verse 5, "Listen, my beloved brothers, has not God chosen the poor in the world to be rich in faith and heirs of His kingdom? This crown is more than gold, more than jewels. It is the visible mark of honor, of reward, of completion. Trials were your refining fire. Endurance was your preparation, and now heaven bends low to place the crown upon your head, declaring, "This one endured. This one is faithful. This one is chosen." Oh, picture a runner who stumbles but never leaves the track. With sweat on their brow and bruises on their knees, they keep moving forward. At the finish line, they are crowned not because they never fell, but because they refused to quit. That is you. The crown is not perfection, it is perseverance, rewarded. And the crown of abundance carries a weight. It is not a fragile ornament that can be easily lost. It is a seal of authority, a symbol of inheritance, and a testimony to all who see you that heaven has honored you. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. He knew that once you wore this crown, you would become unstoppable. Now, chosen one, imagine the act of wearing the crown as a feast of honor. When you like this word, it is as if you are lifting the golden chalice at the table, saying, "Yes, I drink of this royal abundance." And when you share, it is as though you are extending pieces of the banquet to others seated around you, offering them a taste of the same overflowing inheritance. Sharing is not a burden, it is hospitality. The generosity of one crowned who welcomes others to the table. To comment is to inscribe your name in the royal record. Just as kings and queens have their reigns documented in chronicles, your words beneath this message become part of your testimony. I was present when the crown was placed. I bear witness to my season of abundance. And when you choose to subscribe, you are building your dwelling inside the palace, not merely visiting for a meal. It is saying, "This is where I belong. I will not walk away from the king's table." Subscription is not duty, it is residency in abundance. Chosen one. These acts are more than gestures. They are prophetic actions, woven into the story of your coronation. Each is a way of lifting your head and allowing heaven's crown to rest more firmly upon it. They are not demands, they are invitations. Invitations to take your rightful seat among those who reign with grace. Think of David. He was anointed long before he wore the crown. His path was filled with battles, betrayals, and lonely caves. Yet the day came when the crown was set on his head, and no enemy could dispute it. Your crown of abundance will carry that same finality. It will silence every voice of doubt and every whisper of lack. Chosen one. This is not just abundance in resources. It is abundance in peace, in wisdom, in joy, in purpose. The crown declares you complete, whole, filled to overflowing. It is not borrowed, it is yours. It cannot be stolen, it is sealed by heaven. So lift your head. Let the weight of the crown remind you of the glory you carry. Let its shine reflect the faithfulness of the God who placed it there. And as you walk forward, walk as royalty, not with arrogance, but with confidence, knowing that your abundance is not a possession, but an inheritance. The crown rests upon you, the banquet awaits you, and the kingdom watches as you step into your season of reigning. Chosen one. Every crown carries a story. Yours will shine not only because of the abundance it represents, but also because of the journey it required. Scars, tears, and trials become jewels embedded into the crown itself. Each one proof that you endured. As you wear it, others will not just see wealth, they will see witness. Your life will testify that God does not abandon his chosen, that he elevates in due time. and that abundance is not earned by striving, but granted by grace. The crown is your testimony, and your testimony will change lives. Chosen one. There is a power in testimony that no argument can silence. Words spoken from experience carry a weight that theories cannot. When you rise into the season of abundance, your life itself becomes the testimony. You will not need to strive to convince anyone. Your transformation will speak louder than your voice ever could. The Apostle John wrote in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not fear death." This verse unveils a mystery. Testimony is not just storytelling. It is warfare. It is victory. It is light shining in places where darkness once reigned. Your testimony is a sword. It slices through doubt. It shatters lies, and it plants seeds of faith in others. What you are about to walk into is more than blessing, it is evidence. Think of the blind man healed by Jesus. When the Pharisees interrogated him, demanding explanations, he had only one response: "I was blind. But now I see." That one sentence was enough. No scholar could refute it. No enemy could deny it, because his very eyes were living proof. That is what your testimony will be: undeniable evidence of God's hand. Consider the Samaritan woman at the well. She met Jesus, and in one conversation, her entire life shifted. She returned to her town with words that shook an entire community. "Come, see a man who told me everything I ever did." Her testimony opened the door for others to encounter truth. The same will happen through you. Your life, your turnaround, your story of abundance will draw others toward hope. Chosen one. Your testimony is not limited to victories. Even your scars will speak. Scars are proof of battles endured, of wounds healed, of survival transformed into strength. When people see the marks of your past, they will not see shame. They will see survival and redemption. They will understand that if God did it for you, He can do it for them. Imagine your life as a letter, written not in ink, but in transformation. Every trial endured is a line. Every breakthrough received is a sentence. Every season survived is a paragraph. And now, as abundance crowns you, the letter is sealed and delivered for others to read and find faith. You yourself become a living epistle of grace. Your testimony will ripple outward. Family members who doubted will be silenced by the evidence of your change. Friends who mocked your faith will be confronted with undeniable fruit. Strangers will find courage by watching your resilience. Even enemies will be forced to acknowledge that the hand of God is upon you. That is the reach of testimony. It spreads farther than your words can travel. But testimony is not just for others. It strengthens you too. When you look back on what God has done, you build memorial stones in your spirit. Like Israel setting up stones after crossing the Jordan, you will have markers of memory, reminders that God parted waters for you once, and He will do it again. These reminders keep you steady in future battles. Chosen one. The testimony you carry is rare and precious. It will make you a voice to the weary, a sign to the lost, a beacon to those stumbling in cycles of lack. Testimony is contagious. When you release it, it sparks faith in hearts that thought faith was gone. So understand this: abundance is more than provision. It is proof. It proves God's faithfulness. It proves His timing. It proves that delay is not denial, and that perseverance always leads to reward. Your life will testify of these truths more loudly than any sermon. Chosen one, you are stepping into a season where your testimony will become your greatest weapon and your greatest gift. Guard it, share it, live it. Let it echo into every place you walk. For the chosen are not only marked by blessing, they are marked by stories that reveal the glory of God. Chosen one, your testimony is more than survival, it is transformation. The valley you walked through, the fire you endured, the tears you shed, all of it now shines as evidence that nothing can stop the hand of God when He has chosen someone. And when you carry that testimony forward, you carry hope for countless others. They will see in you the reflection of their own struggles, and through your story, they will believe again. Your testimony is not just yours, it belongs to every soul who will find light through your journey. Chosen one, blessing was never meant to be a moment that passes and fades. It was designed to be a river eternal, unbroken, flowing from the throne of God into every part of your life. You are not stepping into a brief season of favor that vanishes at the first sign of struggle. You are stepping into a lifestyle, a rhythm, a continual stream of overflow that does not run dry. The prophet Ezekiel recorded a vision in his book, chapter 40, verse 9. Wherever the river flows, there will be swarms of living creatures. So many fish will live there. Because this water flows there, it brings life wherever the river goes. This river is the image of blessing itself. It does not stop. It moves into barren places and makes them fertile. It touches dry ground and brings forth harvest. It nourishes every living thing it encounters. That is what eternal blessing looks like in your life. Wherever you step, life will follow. Chosen one. Think of all the seasons you once thought were wasted. Years where you struggled, where you prayed without answers, where you felt abandoned. In the eternal flow of blessing, nothing is wasted. The river gathers, even those years, redeeming them, weaving them back into the tapestry of your story until every season is made meaningful. Imagine a tree planted by a riverbank. Its roots stretch deep, drinking constantly from the flow. Even in drought, its leaves remain green, and its fruit comes in season. That is the eternal blessing. You are not dependent on circumstances, on weather, or on fleeting opportunities. You are connected to a source that never runs dry. Eternal blessing is not only about provision, it is about presence. To walk in the flow is to walk in constant communion with God. It means that peace is not occasional, it abides. Joy is not seasonal, it endures. Strength is not scarce, it renews daily. This is the difference between a temporary miracle and an eternal lifestyle. You are called into the lifestyle. Consider Abraham. The covenant spoken over him was not confined to his lifetime. It flowed into Isaac, into Jacob, into generations he would never meet. That is what eternal blessing does. It stretches beyond you, marking your lineage, shaping futures, carrying your testimony forward long after you. Chosen one. Eternal blessing also transforms your perspective. You no longer measure life by the scarcity of the moment, but by the certainty of the river. You stop asking, "Will I have enough?" and begin declaring, "The river is enough." You stop fearing tomorrow because you know the river will flow there too. And this blessing is not silent. like the sound of rushing water. It is noticeable, undeniable. Others will look at your life and sense it, not because you boast, but because rivers cannot be hidden. They overflow, they refresh, they make their presence known. In the same way, your life will quietly, consistently testify of the eternal flow you walk in. Chosen one, do not confuse eternal blessing with ease. Rivers may pass through rocks, through valleys, through obstacles, but they do not stop. They carve paths even where none existed. Eternal blessing ensures that no matter the resistance, the flow will continue. What heaven began in you will not be interrupted. The eternal flow of blessing is also an invitation to trust, to know that you are not drinking from a cistern that can break, but from a fountain that never ends, to rest in the assurance that you will not run dry, even when seasons around you shift. So, step forward into this flow, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with confidence. You are not entering a fleeting moment. You are stepping into an unending river. It is your inheritance, your portion, your lifestyle. Wherever this river carries you, life will bloom, fruit will flourish, and glory will shine. The eternal blessing has begun, and it will not stop. Chosen one. Rivers never ask permission to flow. They move with power, carving paths where none existed. That is how the blessing upon your life will act. It will make a way, even in impossible landscapes. What you receive now will not trickle for a season and vanish. It will sustain you in quiet years and blaze like a flood in decisive moments. The eternal nature of blessing means you will never be left empty again. Every step you take from here carries the echo of this truth. The flow will not stop. Not in famine, not in storm, not in battle. The river runs on, and you will run with it into eternity. Chosen one. You have walked through the words of this message step by step, from the opening gate of Wednesday, through famine turned to overflow, through the roar of breakthrough, and into the eternal river of blessing. You have been reminded of who you are and what you carry. This is not coincidence. This is divine timing. The journey has shown you that you are not forgotten. You are not lost. You are not ordinary. You are chosen, sealed, crowned, and sustained. Every trial you faced was shaping you for this hour. Every delay was aligning you for this season. And now, abundance is not just before you, it is within you, flowing like a river that cannot be stopped. Now, pause for a moment and consider your part. When you like this message, it is not a button, it is as though you are lifting your hand in agreement, saying, I recognize this crown upon my head. When you share, it is not obligation, it is as if you are extending the overflowing cup, allowing others to drink from the same fountain of life. When you comment, your words become etched into the testimony of this moment. It is your declaration, your memorial stone, your marker that says, I was here when the transfer was opened. And when you subscribe, you are not just connecting with content, you are building a place at the table, choosing to remain in the flow of every word that heaven continues to release. Chosen one. Your abundance is secure. Your testimony is alive. Your crown is shining. Walk boldly into the eternal flow and let your life sing the truth that cannot be silenced. You are chosen, and the blessing will never run dry.